Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show here. As we got lots to get to today. The Four Nations face-off started last night. Absolutely incredible action. We'll get to that. Lots of Lightning players involved, and incredible game last night. Of course, John Cooper behind the bench for Team Canada. We'll get to that. The Rays pitchers and catchers starting to work out. We'll talk a little bit about that. We've got Bucs to get to. Erik Erlendsson is going to join us at 10:30 to talk about the Four Nations and the Lightning, where they're going right now. And 11 o'clock, Scott Hamilton will join us live from Daytona. Good morning to you, IndyCar Tim, and our Dallas affiliate. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
Dude, it is frigid in the DFW this morning. I woke up, we had a cold front come through, I guess, or what they call an Arctic shift that came through. It was about 55 degrees when I went to bed last night. I had my window open. And I guess this thing came through last night because I woke up to 22 degrees with 8-degree wind chill.
Holy
in DFW.
Jesus.
And it was
freaking,
and I didn't have the heater on in the studio. I walked in, it was 58 degrees in the studio this morning.
My God.
Dude,
Well, there you go.
Freezing here.
And you're in a T-shirt. That's fantastic.
Well, I had a hoodie on.
All right, lots to get to this morning. And also, Courtney Sanchez is going to join us. She is the Chief Impact Officer at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are hosting a 115-team flag football tournament at the Buccaneers Palace. And it is absolutely insane what's going on over there and what they're doing with flag football. Really, the Bucs have been the leader in this, especially for women's flag football. They've been doing this for, I think, 6 or 7 years now, of course, and this sport is just absolutely exploding. It's going to be part of the 28 Olympics. So we'll talk to Courtney Sanchez about what's going on over at the Bucs and how, and evidently girls are better at flag football than boys are, according to the NFL commercial. So we're good to go. But it's really an incredible scene out there, and we want to get a feel for what's happening out there and how the Bucs are leading the way in that. So we'll do that at 10:15. Erik Erlendsson will join us at 10:30, and Scott Hamilton live from Daytona. We got the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg coming up with IndyCar. Yesterday for our Tampa Bay Tonight Show that I'm now doing, check that out on RHS TV. We had Neil Aller, who is a Indy Next driver. So he's one step away. He grew up in the Tampa Bay area as a big Lightning fan. In fact, his dad was a television producer, Rob Aller. I worked for him for when they were doing Fox Sports. I filled in for Paul Kennedy. So I didn't know that was his son before I was interviewing. I started doing the research, and I'm like, oh, I worked for your dad. And he goes, yeah, I talked to him last night. So the cool. Grand Prix coming up. That is going to be insanely popular here. We've got over 250,000 fans show up over the weekend. So racing is taking center stage here in Florida. We got the Daytona this week and then the Grand Prix coming up. So lots of racing talk to get into, which I know you love, Tim.
Love it 100%, man. And to kick the season off every year in St. Pete, there couldn't be a better place. They used to go all the way to Surfers Paradise in Australia to kick the season off for a long time. And I'm glad they're keeping it here in the States and doing it in St. Pete. St. Pete's just as pretty, if not prettier, than Surfers Paradise in Australia anyway. But
they said they were saying that this track, as far as the IndyCar racers go, and some of the F1 people that have seen the track and compare, and they say it reminds everybody of Monaco.
Yeah,
which is obviously the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah,
when it comes to F1 and road racing. That's heavy compliment. Compliment. So it's grown tremendously, and this will be the 15th year they open the IndyCar season. So it's incredible.
It's a great track, man.
It really is. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the Four Nations last night, man. I was watching some of that. First of all, what a finish! What a game! If you didn't think there was going to be intensity, this is not an all-star game. This is the furthest thing from an all-star game. And personally, I love it. Absolutely love it. This is what really the NHL should be doing. It works for baseball too. It absolutely works for baseball. We were just talking about this, before we get into the game last night. For baseball, instead of this silly all-star game they play, how about you take the schedule down to 154 games? So basically cutting out a week, right? And then take that week, 10 days, and have a World Baseball Classic in the middle of the season where you have all these countries battling. And then you could, just put it in one city or one area, like Tampa Bay would be a great area with all the spring training fields that we have. If we had a main stadium, you need a main stadium. So once we build that, Tampa Bay would be a perfect place to hold something and they can move that event around, right? Dallas certainly has enough. You guys have enough fields where you could do it as well. It's Arizona. Clearly, that would be a great place in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. You could do it there. I mean, you could bounce it back and forth between Florida and Arizona every year. Of course, it is in the middle of the summer, so that might be a little bit difficult. You need some indoor parks in the middle of the summer. So either way, I mean, figure it out. So much better than a baseball game would be, because the World Baseball Classic obviously has been played overseas.
Yeah.
Bring it here for MLB in the middle of the season, and there would be great emotions to it. I mean, I think that's what it does, really. We want to see the emotions of it. We want to see the, and if you watch the World Baseball Classic, it's so emotional. These Latin teams are just incredibly emotional about playing, and it's fun to watch. And so baseball could definitely do it, and I think hockey will the next few years.
If you think there's national pride in America and Canada, go to some of those Central American nations, those countries. It is on another level for some of those guys down there, especially when they play against each other, and it is fun to watch.
Well, we saw it with Junior Caminero, the Dominican, in that league, when he hit the game-winning home run. So, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, back to the Four Nations last night. Obviously, John Cooper coaching Team Canada. Braden Point had a great assist last night to Brad Marchand for the second goal for Team Canada. The first goal was just absolutely sick. On a power play, Sidney Crosby with a Kucherov-like no-look backhander through the crease to, who was it, McKinnon for the first goal?
Yeah, Nathan McKinnon,
Yeah, it was just a tap-in for him, basically.
On a power play,
I mean, just gorgeous.
And how about Sidney Crosby at 37 years old? He's still Sid the Kid. I mean, good Lord. And he still looks like a little kid, which is funny.
Yeah, he does. And he looked like, and he wasn't, he's been injured. So he wasn't going to play. And here he is, a couple assists last night. Hedman had an assist on Team Sweden's goal, wanted to make it 2-1. And they come back in the third and tie things up 3-3 with they just kept pushing, and then Mitch Marner wins it in that overtime was insane.
Boy.
It was insane.
I love 3-on-3 overtime hockey. I'm not gonna lie, man.
And of course, there's no 5-minute time limit.
No, not in this.
So away they go. I mean, it was it was incredible.
And how about Victor Hedman in the second period? I thought he had his best period of hockey all season. In the second period, he had a couple of great defensive plays on Sidney Crosby in the defensive zone, like one-on-one against Sidney. And I thought he just had an outstanding second period for Sweden.
And they what was the one goal where Braden Point goes right by Hetty. Hetty kind of jumped up in the play, and Jarvis just skates right by him with the puck and gives it up to Point, and then Point over to Marchand.
Yep.
So Braden got the best of Hetty in that little exchange right there, and it was just fun to watch. It was really, really fun to watch. But for Team Canada, and we'll talk to Erik Erlendsson about this at 10:30. Team Canada, they win in overtime, so it's only 2 points.
Yeah. So
that's that could figure in big later on to see if they can get to the final or what have you. But so they need. Typically, you're looking to get a win in the regulation because that's worth 3 points. This is where it's different.
Right.
3 points for a win in regulation, 2 for a win in overtime, 1 for a loss in overtime. So Sweden picks up a point,
a big point,
and Canada doesn't get the maximum points. So tonight it's USA versus Finland. if USA can get a regulation win, then they've got a lead. So
Right.
And we'll see how it works out the rest of the way.
And
What
I'll
it
tell
showed
you
us
this.
last night is, Sweden ain't a pushover, and Finland's not going to be a pushover tonight either. I mean, we talked about the rosters yesterday.
Yep.
I mean, they're freaking loaded. Everybody's loaded. So it's gonna come down to I think it comes down to who plays the best defense and gets the best goaltending, to be honest, because they're creating chances all over the ice. It is so exciting to watch. So I can't wait tonight.
And I'll tell you, it was really weird. Of course, the game played at the old the Bell Center. I still can't call it the Bell Center. It's the Bell Center in Montreal. So, Habs fans everywhere, of course, right? Watching Brad Marchand score, the captain of the effing Bruins, score inside the Bell Center to cheers from the Habs fans and from inside where the home of the Canadians was weird for me, right? Of course, I cheered. I'm Team Canada, right? I cheered for it, but watching him get cheers inside that stadium on a goal was kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. And then same thing, though, for Mitch Marner, of course,
Right.
who plays for Toronto, who's the, cross-country whatever rival of Montreal. Watching him get cheers, it was kind of weird. I'm not going to lie, but but it was cool, man. And Team Canada is Team Canada. Everybody puts aside your NHL allegiances to cheer for your country, especially in Canada and U.S. here. And it was really cool to watch, man. I freaking love international hockey. And even though it's not international rules, just, you've got teammates from NHL teams playing against each other. It was fun to watch, man. I was glued to the set, and I was trying to keep up with Texas Tech, Arizona State basketball. That was a thriller in double overtime, by the way. The Mavericks were on, as I'm weirdly a Mavericks fan now that they got rid of Luka. I've watched like 2 games now. I haven't watched 2 games all year. So I'm trying to watch all of these things last night, trying to keep up with.
Luka was awful last night. Luka was terrible.
I didn't even watch the Lakers. I was glued to Mavs and all this other crap. I didn't even know they played. Me and Colby talked about it last night on the Colby Sapp and IndyCar Tim show. I just don't care what Luka does in LA. I'm not watching. I don't care. I got too many other things to watch. 4 Nations Cup is on, for God's sake.
Yeah, but come on. For Mavs fans, this is like Armageddon. It's absolutely Armageddon. And it's,
I'll check his box score from time to time. I'll see how he screwed things up. And I made the bold proclamation last night on our show: the Lakers will not win a title with Luka. Boom.
Will not ever win a title.
Not with Luka. Nope.
All right.
Just like the Mavs. I said the same thing about the Mavs. I said the Mavs won't win a title with Luka.
Well, they got smoked by the Lakers. Got smoked by the Jazz last night, and the Jazz just owned the paint because they have no big man, because the big man they got got injured. It was a disaster.
Good.
Love to see it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so 4 Nations, just incredibly exciting stuff. So Gensel will play for Team USA tonight.
Uh-huh.
We'll be watching that. See if he can get some points, and then obviously Team Canada is replete with Lightning players. Fun to watch. Going to continue to watch it as well. All right. So also yesterday, pitchers and catchers reporting for the Rays. Shane McClanahan looks absolutely ready to go, chomping at the bit. He's healthy. Velocity is there. Everything is there. The Rays got 6 starting pitchers now that they got to sort through. But as Neander said the other day, it's a good problem to have. And with the Rays, somebody's going to get hurt. It's just the way it goes. You got 6 guys. At some point, somebody's going to get hurt. It doesn't, trying to figure out what the rotation is going to be is really kind of pointless right now because, there's going to be injuries in and out all year long. So having 6 starters to start is probably not a bad idea if you're the Rays. Absolutely. And hold on to them. It's not like they're going to trade any of them. So
just carry it through the season if you have to. There's nothing wrong with that. Teams do it all the time.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, guys are going to be out. They're going to be out. If you have 6 healthy starters and you get to the deadline and somebody's in desperate need, it's a great plus to have. To be able to trade one and get a king's ransom for one of those guys and make your team better. What we don't have though? Power hitting outfielders. All right, let's talk some flag football here, shall we? This is one of the most incredible events going on in Tampa Bay. It's the annual Buccaneers flag football tournament. Courtney Sanchez joins us here. She is the Chief Impact Officer for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Courtney, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you this morning.
Now, is that window looking out over the practice field? Is there?
I wish. I get a parking lot view here, but
come on now, Brian.
I know all the fun's happening on that side of the building.
Well, I'm sure you've been out there. I mean, what does that scene? I want to try to get out there tomorrow. What does that scene look like? 2,500 girls, 115 teams of flag football. What does that even look like out there?
I mean, the energy is amazing. The coaches are fired up. The girls are excited. I mean, this is really kind of launching their season. The official season starts next week. So they're all playing 2 games that don't go against their record. So they're kind of, getting warmed up, getting reacquainted with each other. And just to be able to host the largest tournament, girls flag tournament in the world right here in our backyard it's amazing.
So what you guys have been doing this, you're not Johnny come lately. I mean, you guys have been leading the way here in women's flag football, girls flag football. It's now a freaking Olympic sport. I can't believe that. I mean, it's great. And I think I've watched some of the girls play, and I just, this may sound a little misogynistic, but I'm astounded at how talented they are. I really am. I mean, I used to coach this back in college. We used to have, powder puff, right? And we coach the girls up, and we had a couple of good athletes. This is unbelievable. I mean, all these girls can run, they can play, they can throw, they can catch. It's incredibly entertaining how far it's come.
These girls, they are true athletes. Like, they dominate in the sport. And I think that's a testament to your point that the Glazer family and the Buccaneers have been investing in girls flag here in Tampa and across the state, right? So this week tournament is representative of 20 counties across the state. And so we've not only been building up the athletes here in our community, but really across Florida. And you can see it. I mean, to your point, these girls are incredible athletes. And when we look to 2028 at the LA Olympics, where this will be played for the first time as an official sport, a lot of those athletes are coming from Florida. And so we're just proud to play a role in giving them the opportunity to play at our fields, which are incredible professional fields, but also just to give them access and elevate the sport and give opportunities for these girls that might not have had it otherwise.
Yeah. What's it like when some of the girls show up to One Buck Place and they walk through the gates and those fields are like so pristine and they see the indoor facility? Like, what are their faces like when they step on that grass?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I have chills thinking about it because I think that, we believe that sports really creates leaders. So 94% of female executives claim to have played sports, and you can see the confidence and the determination and the discipline that these girls are bringing to the game every day. And it's obvious, it's tangible, that impact that you'll see later in their lives. But what was really great is we had a lot of our players, they come out because they love to see the girls play.
Really?
So CJ Brewer, Yaya Diaby, Jose Ramirez, they've all been out on the fields. A lot of our other players are coming. They want to join the coaches on the sidelines. They want to cheer on these girls. And that's the moment that you see these girls just get super fired up because they see how much the organization's behind them.
So can fans come out there and watch this? How does it work for the general public?
Absolutely. So we encourage, not only to your point, just to see these athletes play their game is exciting, but it's neat to show them that the community is behind them. So this is a full week tournament. So it started Monday, will end Saturday. So tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday are going to be full days here at the Advent Health Training Center. And yes, absolutely invite everyone to come out. We do have a Bucs Girls Flag Instagram handle that has all the details.
Okay. What is that? What's the actual
name? It is at Buccaneers Flag.
At Buccaneers Flag. All right, good. We got to get that out on the social.
Yes.
At Buccaneers Flag. So locally, Robinson has been dominating. They have they've won. I think they won state last year. I think they won 4 or 5 in a row. Tell me a little bit about the Robinson program. I know you guys are close to them. They even have one of the girls is on the national team, right? The
yes.
US team.
So Robinson was out here yesterday. to playing incredible games, right? I mean, it's just, again, to our point earlier, it's amazing to see these athletes. We actually were able to honor them. We hosted our first ever She Is football game in season. It was one of our game themes in December.
Yes, it was
in
awesome.
Our halftime, we brought Robinson out to the field, celebrated their state championship, and did a ring ceremony for them. And so just, again, another way that we can really elevate the sport and bring awareness for the community and really celebrate these athletes and give them the kind of recognition that they deserve. But they're an incredible team. We have so many incredible teams here in the area.
Yeah, Courtney Sanchez, Chief Impact Officer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, joining us. You can go out there, 115 teams, 2,500 young ladies out there. You know, you mentioned a stat there at the top. Would you say 97% of business women played a sport?
94% of female executives, so C-suite leaders.
So parents, listen up. Get your kids involved in for entry flag football. You know, it size really doesn't matter. I know, you know, if it's you know, other sports like volleyball and basketball for girls, obviously, you know, size is going to be a factor. For flag football, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's what you see out on these fields. It's just like the grit and determination to play. And so we do free clinics in elementary and middle schools to try to bring awareness to communities that might not be aware of flag football. We're doing a lot of work to bring it into high schools at that junior varsity and varsity level. But we've been doing this work since it was sanctioned as a sport in 2003. We were the first state, and this is a big
I think we lost your audio there, Courtney. I don't know. Are you on? Did you mute yourself, or did?
Yeah, she's muted on her end.
There we go. Sorry, that was weird. Sorry about that. But no, I was just saying that, like, we have been doing this work since the sport got sanctioned back in 2003. We're the first state, and this is a huge, like, NFL-wide initiative just to get it sanctioned everywhere, because there's a bright future for the sport and a lot of opportunity for girls.
And you've got something coming up a little bit later on in the year, right? Tell me about that.
So we do a ton of flag programming throughout the year. We hold, you know, the largest, most attended flag football games, but something we're really excited about is we're launching our She Is Football Week.
Oh dear.
You muted again.
Sorry, I don't know why that keeps happening. We're going to have a women's summit on Friday that is headlined by Erin Andrews and Krista Thompson, which we're really excited about. And then Saturday, we're going to have a 5K and 1 mile that will go through Raymond James on the field, end in our indoor practice facility at a festival and women-owned business market. And all proceeds are going to come right back to our girls flag programming, so we can continue building this bigger and bigger every year.
Oh, and how do folks get involved in that?
So you can visit our website, buccaneers.com/sheisfootball, to learn more.
You did it again.
Did it again. I don't.
Sorry, I keep looking at. I'm like, I don't know.
I think you know what, you're just like me. We talk with our hands, and something happens.
I know something's going on over here.
Courtney, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I'm going to be out, try to get out there Friday or Saturday, watch some of the games, and it'd be great to see all the players out there. What a fantastic thing you guys are doing. Great things in the community, just an overall for the Buccaneers. Thank you for what you and Brian Ford have done in the community. It just seems to never end with the great stuff you guys are doing. So thank you so much for all that.
Thank you for having us and highlighting it. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Courtney Sanchez from the Buccaneers. Yeah, guys, I highly recommend it. I mean, I've seen some of the video out there, and, you know, I've watched some of these girls flag football games in high school, and they're incredible. They're really, really, it's, you know, it's not like it was 20 years ago, but like with most women's sports, it's just not even close. It's incredibly entertaining, and head on out there and support these girls. It's super fun. And how cool is that the Buccaneers players are out there? Can you imagine?
I'm sure they're just as into it as the rest of us. Like, you want to see what this is all about. It's a curiosity thing. And, you know, I've seen videos on YouTube of girls, you know, playing flag football, hell, girls playing tackle football. And they're just as passionate about their game as the men are. So, you know, there's talent out there. There's all the ability in the world from some of these girls. They are tremendous athletes, and it is fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Get on out there and support them though, Friday and Saturday. And I don't know if it's free, but certainly not going to be a whole lot of money. So go support them. It's good stuff. All right, well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some hockey with Erik Erlendsson, Lightning Insider. We'll get to some Lightning stuff, how he sees the final 1/3 of the season playing out. And, of course, we'll talk some Four Nations as well. Erik Erlendsson coming up next. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Go to their website. You can contact them through there. Get a free case evaluation if you need anything in the legal realm, and tell them JP sent you. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Don't go with a huge law firm that's just going to make you another number and get a quick settlement. Go with someone who's going to care about your case, and that's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Not attorney spokesperson, offices Tampa, St. Pete. Back in 3 with Erik Erlendsson.
Make this Valentine's Day a real hit by coming to Alessi Promotions Gloves and Roses, a night of professional boxing. We'll have something special for all the ladies. February 14th at the Downtown Hilton, experience professional boxing. Citrus County's own Drake Banks, a 7-0 heavyweight with 5 knockouts. And featuring our main event, an NBA title fight featuring undefeated Stephen Ray Jr. Get your tickets online at AlessiPromotions.com or scan the QR code and go directly to eTix.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go!
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Thursday as the Four Nations face-off is underway, featuring your Tampa Bay Lightning all over the ice. Great to watch last night. We're brought to you by the Golden Diamond Source. Do not forget, 40% off your second piece of jewelry. Buy one, get one 40% off of the already great low prices at the Golden Diamond Source. So if you have been putzing around, haven't done anything, this is the best way to do it. Just drive over to the Golden Diamond Source. Easy to find, 3800 Olmerton Road, just over the bridge if you're coming from Tampa. Drive in there, tell them what you want to spend. They'll find you something really, really nice. Buy the second piece at 40% off. They wrap it up nicely for you. You're in and out in 15 minutes, and it comes from the Golden Diamond Source, and they will absolutely love it. There, I fixed all your problems. Golden Diamond Source, buy one, get one, 40% off right now. Get your butt over there. You can even go tomorrow if you're really last-minute Johnny like me, and you'll find something nice. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Double E.
You do, don't putz around. Just don't putz around.
Don't putz around, man. I'm the king of putzing around. That's for damn sure. All right, Erik Erlendsson joining us here from lightninginsider.com and the Lightning Radio Network. What's up, Double E? You got your shopping done?
What's that?
Got your shopping done for Valentine's Day?
No, and in fact, if we're doing problem solving, I've got a very long list. Like if
I'm your guy. I got great ideas. I got no throughput, but I got great ideas. So if you got that part of the equation, you're good. So just let me know what you need. I got ideas, hundreds of them. Yeah. So yes, you can get to the Golden Diamond Source if you've been putzing around. It's easy. A piece of cake. All you need is a.
I definitely do a lot of putzing. Don't worry.
Well, there was no putzing around last night on the ice. That was intensity last night. I knew it was going to be, not like an all-star game. We knew that, but I didn't expect that kind of intensity. It's been since 2016 since we've seen international play, right? Were you surprised or pleasantly surprised, I guess you would say?
I don't know if I was surprised. I mean, look, especially with that crowd in Montreal, with the reaction that Team Canada got, and all of a sudden the John Coopers and the Brad Marchands and the Mitch Marners are getting cheered for by the Montreal crowd. I mean, it's something different when that's the case.
Yes.
So, not really. I mean, look, like I wasn't necessarily sold on this, right? You're stopping the season for 2 weeks, and I'll take the 2-week break. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But to stop the season for 2 weeks to do this, I wasn't sure if this was the right idea. But then you watch that game last night, and the players are into it, and you knew it would be competitive. But that was an NHL style game, obviously a little bit of a higher tier because of the level of players on both sides, and you'll see that again tonight, I think. So it was fun to watch. It was a great game. What a job by Sweden to come back and tie that. And, with this 3-2-1 format, that was a huge point that Sweden picked up.
Yeah.
And, and that was a huge point that Canada lost. And,
yep.
It's a round robin. There's no semifinals. It goes straight to the top two teams. So we'll see what can happen tonight. It's a door opened, especially if the U.S. can win the game tonight and see what happens on Saturday. But a lot of fun last night. Definitely a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I thought Bennington struggled a little bit, especially in that third period. The Team Canada goes up 3-1, and they can't hold the lead. You have to go to overtime, and again, 3-on-3 overtime. I will take it any day of the week against anybody. I just love watching it. And with, especially like JP pointed out, no 5-minute time limit. You're going until somebody wins.
It's 10 minutes.
Oh, is it 10 minutes? And then because you can't have a
3-3.
tie. You can't have a tie. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It'll go to a shootout if it's still
Right.
tied after 10 minutes.
That's right. That's right. But I'll take it. Bennington struggled. Do you think there's any chance they're going to rotate goalies here going into the next game?
Well, that was the big question mark for Team Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, as strong as they are everywhere else, you looked at their goaltending, and it's the weakest of the four teams. There's no doubt about it. And you look at some of the goalies that Canada. I mean, it just tells you some of the depth issues that Canada has with their goaltending when you look at a guy like Logan Thompson, who's not on the team, who's having a fantastic year for Washington, but he's not a name that jumps out at you, right? And Canada doesn't have any goalies that jump out at you. I mean, at least Bennington has won a cup, right? He led St. Louis in 2019, and but none of these guys have experience on the big stage. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Coop does for Saturday's game, because that's the game that's going to determine their tournament in a lot of ways, right? Is against the U.S., especially if the U.S. wins tonight in regulation. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. The thing with Canada, and you saw it a little bit, especially in the first period last night, they can be so strong with their puck possession. Sometimes it doesn't matter who's in goal.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
if you can't get shots on net, if you can't get to the net for any rebounds, I mean, I still go back to the 2010 Olympics. Roberto Luongo was not very good for Team Canada in that tournament. I think his save percentage was actually under 900. But their defense was so strong, whatever rebounds Luongo was, nobody was within 20 feet of any of those rebounds because the defense was so good at what they do. And that's what Canada can do to you. And that was the way in the first period. Sweden found a way. The first goal that Sweden scored, it's, short side like that. I don't know if it was deflected. I think it might have been deflected a little bit. But Bennington came up with some saves in the overtime that allowed them to stay in that game. I thought Philip Gustafsson was really good for Sweden. But the big question mark heading into this tournament for Canada was who can step up and be the guy in goal. And Bennington was okay at times, and then he was like, at times. So, curious to see what John Cooper does. He does not have Andrei Vasilevsky on that bench.
You think, well, who else is there? Who else is behind Bennington?
Ottinger's there.
Aiden Hill and Ottinger,
Aiden Hill, yeah. Well, Ottinger's U.S. Sam Montembeau was the other goalie.
Oh, Montembeau, from Montreal. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah, and how deep is the U.S.? Ottinger might be number 3.
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy to think.
Yeah.
Although I would make him number 2. Obviously, Hellebuck is number 1. But, I mean, when you've got a trio of Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Swayman on your roster, I mean, any of those guys could start for any of the other countries in this tournament. That's how good U.S. goaltending is.
Yeah. You think John Cooper's going through Ancestry.com to see if any of these guys on the U.S. squad's got any Canadian blood in them whatsoever so he can come on over here.
He's looking to see if it can be Vazzy's son.
Yeah, there you go.
Born somewhere in Minnesota.
Yeah. When I looked at the odds before, I was shocked that the United States was actually favored in Vegas to win this, which shocked me. And I guess it's because of the Canadian goaltending, or maybe we saw that last night. So this point that they didn't get last night, Canada, becomes absolutely humongous, as you mentioned. Kind of explain how the format works, and because I think we're all expecting to see Canada and the U.S. play Saturday night in the round robin, and then at some point in the final. But that's a little iffy now, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Sweden will certainly have something to say about it.
Right.
So you get 3 points for a regulation win. You get 2 points for a shootout or an overtime win and 1 point for a loss. And then there's a series of tiebreakers at head-to-head, I think, is the first one. And then it goes to, like, goal differential, then goals scored. So there's a formula in case we're tied in points. But that's the way this works. It's 3 round-robin games and then a championship game. So you have last night, you get tonight, doubleheader on Saturday, doubleheader on Monday, and then the championship game on Thursday. The venue switched to Boston for the Monday games. So that's how they're going to determine who gets to the championship. As far as the U.S. being favored, obviously they have the advantage in goal, especially with the season Hellebuck is having and how good he's been over the past few years. But if you look at the way the U.S. has developed talent, starting with the National Development Program, which has been just absolutely top-notch, and the players that have come through that development program over the years. I mean, Jack Eichel was the number 2 overall pick, right, behind Connor McDavid, and his biggest fault in Buffalo was he wasn't Connor McDavid. But Jack Eichel is a fantastic player. He goes to Vegas and wins a cup. He can be a guy who can be a matchup center for the U.S. So now all of a sudden you have a guy who's, top 10 in scoring in the league, can be a shutdown center for the U.S. And you have an Austin Matthews, and you have a Jack Hughes, and you have a Jake Gensel. I mean, the U.S. is loaded with talent too. Their defense, and look, they're going to be missing Quinn Hughes. That's a huge miss. Not coming to this tournament because of injury. So that's a big loss. Although you can replace him with a Jake Sanderson, pretty good player in his own right. So the U.S. is deep. So I think the U.S. can match. I don't think they can match the McKinnons and the McDavids and the Crosbys in terms of the elite, but they have elite players themselves. And, you go up and down that lineup. I don't think it's a surprise to me anyway that the U.S. has been some of the betting favorites for this tournament just because they're so deep.
I would have loved to have seen this format back in the late 90s with some of the international players and some of the American and Canadian players that we had back then. I think that would have been a lot of fun. But of course, I really enjoyed the All-Star games back then too, more than I do now. So I'm glad they're doing this.
You had the 96 World Cup.
Yes.
The World Cup of hockey.
Awesome.
And that was the Mike Richter show, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was
yeah.
He led the U.S. to a championship, and that really helped kind of spur USA hockey. I mean, it started obviously with the 1980 team, and a lot of those players that were on the 96 team were 10, 11, 12 years old during the Miracle on Hockey years.
Yeah.
And so that spurred that generation, and the 96ers sort of spurred the next generation and really launched the U.S. development program because they saw what could happen and we could be better on the international stage. And I mean, you got to give a ton of credit to USA Hockey for putting the everything they have into this development program. And I mean, the Lightning have certainly benefited from it, from some of the players that they've had come through, including Dylan Duke.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, is it fair to say, because if I'm not mistaken, the United States has been pretty good in the junior tournaments in the last few years. Yeah. Are we close to saying that maybe the United States has surpassed Canada in terms of talent in younger players? I know the top end talent, not, but in full depth, or if not, are we on the trajectory to replace Canada as that?
It's trending in that direction. I'm not ready to say that, even having said that the U.S. has won back-to-back gold medals for the first time at the World Juniors.
Right.
I think what helps the U.S. At the World Juniors is a lot of those players have played together growing up at part of the development program. I mean, there's so many college players that use the national development program as a stepping stone to get to college and NCAA. So they've played together, U14, U15, U16 years. So they have some familiarity with each other. Whereas, Canada's taking their best junior level players for the most part, because that's where they play. And, Western kids don't play with Western kids, and Ontario kids don't play with Ontario kids. So you kind of bring them all together. But again, you look at how they have developed with the U.S. It's if they're not, they're probably on even playing field, I'd say. I mean, Canada didn't get out of the quarterfinals this year. I don't think they got out of the quarters last year either. So it's been a couple of disappointing years. So it's going to force Canada into some reevaluation of what they do. But they still develop the elite of the elites, right? Like Gavin McKenna was a player on Canada who was granted special exception as a 15-year-old to play in the Western League, which doesn't happen very often. Usually you have to be 16 to be part of the Western Hockey League, and he's going to be a fantastic talent. He's a generational type player as well. And he's not even draft eligible for 2 more years. So they have some exceptional talent that they still produce in Canada, but I think the U.S. has kind of narrowed the field in terms of the depth.
Yeah. Erik Erlendsson joining us here at lightninginsider.com. All right, let's turn our attention to the Lightning. This was an incredible run the last week. I mean, it was a had to have. You were hoping to get 3 or 4 against the Atlantic Division. You sweep them all, regulation wins. And, I think back to what might be a turning point of the season, tied at 2 Tuesday night against Ottawa, and Cooper basically goes into the room and challenges the guys and says, "What are you made of? This is the moment." And I think Coop has such a great instinct for that moment, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. And it proved out. This is 4 games where they've played. I'm not going to say they were, certainly against Montreal, they didn't play a great game, but they won. And that it just reminded me of playoff hockey. I don't care how you do it. I don't care. Just go out and get the W's, get the lead in the third period and make it stick. And they did that. And all 4 games, they were dominant when they had to be. And that to me is the mark of a champion. What did you make that whole week? What did it tell you about this team?
I would say that, the 2 games in particular against Ottawa, turning point of the season. There's still 27 games, 28 games left to play, but they had to have those games. At the least, you had to come out with a split. Like, you couldn't let Ottawa sweep both those games, or we might be having a much different conversation right now, because that's an 8-point swing, right? And that's what it ended up being, but in Tampa Bay's favor. They could have been 8 points behind the Senators, and instead they moved past them. So I think that kind of spurred them into the weekend. And if you believe in what comes around goes around, the weekend was what comes around goes around, because you think back to the first trip in Detroit where the Lightning were so dominant in the third period of that game, and the game against Montreal where they could have scored 5 goals in that third period against Montreal. They make a mistake and they end up losing that game in regulation with 2 minutes to go. So the script kind of flipped a little bit, and Montreal had them under all kinds of pressure on Sunday afternoon, and Detroit specifically in the second period had them under all kinds of pressure. But they finally took advantage of the opportunities, the scoring opportunities they had. They built themselves a lead, and they found a way to protect it, primarily because of Andre Vasilevsky, but some big block shots in the end. I mean, you could tell by the end of that Montreal game, they were running out of gas. That January schedule still catching up to them. I mean, it's just, I people say asking an excuse, and right, you can't have excuses, but it is reality. When you play 16 games in 29 days, you play 14 in 24 days. You think of some of the minutes that the Hagels and the Sorellis and the Kucherovs and the Hedmans and the McDonoughs and then those guys have all put in. I mean, they've logged some heavy minutes. So it's going to feel like a vacation for Sorelli and Hagel, because they're only going to play about 11 minutes per game in this tournament, depending on special teams. But it was a gutty 4 games and turned their season around. Now all of a sudden, what you could have been staring at, looking up at teams like Columbus and Boston, now you're looking at a team like Toronto, who you're just 2 points behind here in the Atlantic Division. And it should be a heck of a race to the end for the Lightning to maintain what they have, where they're at, and if they can chase down anybody.
Erik Erlendsson joining us here, lightninginsider.com. All right, now the next question. What does JBB do at the deadline? The word on the street is Lightning scouts are everywhere. For the last month, they're looking at everything from, probably, I don't know if they're looking at defensemen, but certainly a lot of forwards, maybe depth forwards, maybe somebody in the top 6 that pushes somebody else down. What are your thoughts on what JBB is going to do? What assets do you think are in play here?
Well, I think anything's in play, maybe except for Isaac Howard. I don't know if you want to part ways with Isaac Howard. He's having a terrific year at Michigan State. I wouldn't call him untouchable, but he's at the top of the list of guys I probably don't want to have to part ways with. So I think other than that, as we know with Julian, everything is in play. And I think at the top of their list is a middle 6 forward. They've gotten 3 fourth-line goals in the past 4 games, which is something that they needed. They got the goal from Glendening. They got the goal from Duke. They got the goal from Zemgus Girgensons finally reaching the back of the net in Montreal. So you've gotten some depth scoring that maybe we've been talking about throughout a portion of this year. Connor Geekie was sent down. He didn't. He kind of fell off the map a little bit, which is not to be unexpected for a 20-year-old making his first season in the NHL. And he scored a big goal yesterday for Syracuse that tied that game against Toronto to send it to overtime. So he's down there doing what he's being asked to do. We'll see how quickly he comes back up. But, they just need somebody to kind of slot in. In a perfect world, it'd be a second-line winger to play with Sorelli and Hagel. If you leave Point, Gensel, and Kucherov together. And that's why I think middle 6, because you don't need a guy who can play top line, because you've got guys. You could move Hagel up to the top line if you want to and swap out Gensel. We've seen Cooper do that a few times this year. So somebody that could, add some scoring depth, drop down to a third-line role if they needed to. So I don't know if you need to go, last year was Anthony Duclair, who was a top 6 guy. I don't know if you need to go top 6, depending on the price is everything. But I think that the middle 6 guys at the top of their list. And then after that, it's probably on defense. And we'll see. J.J. Moser's he'll probably be back for the game against Seattle when the season resumes on the 23rd. So we'll see what the defense looks like with him slotted back in. But that's another area where maybe they look for a right-hand shot defense.
You mentioned Isaac Howard. What are the chances of him coming up and being our Matthew Nyes for the playoffs?
It's probably something that you have to think could happen, right? He's in his 3rd year of college. In talking to some people within the organization who have seen him play, they rave about the work he's put in the gym, how much bigger he has gotten, how much more responsible of a player he has become. The skill is there. Obviously, that was why he was drafted in the first round. Leading the NCAA in goals. I think I last saw the Hobie Baker. He's actually leading the voting for the Hobie Baker Award, which fans can vote on, by the way, if you go find it.
Yeah.
I'd say, depending on how Michigan State's season goes, that the Lightning will do everything they can to have those conversations with him and bring him into the fold. Because what you can do, look, we saw Chris Kreider comes to my mind because, he was at the 2012 Frozen Four that was here in Tampa.
Right,
and
right.
It wasn't even an hour after he won a national championship, he was signing a contract with the Rangers and on a flight to Ottawa to be in the lineup against the Senators in the postseason for that. So I could see the same type of scenario because college players, the rules for college players in hockey are I don't want to call it a loophole, but you can lose players who go to college. If they play all 4 years of eligibility at the NCAA level, they can become an unrestricted free agent after their 4th year.
I didn't know that.
Most recently, Sammy Walker, who the Lightning drafted in the 7th round. Sammy had a lot of skill, went on to captain the University of Minnesota, played his 4 years for the Golden Gophers and opted to become a free agent and sign with Minnesota Wild. Cole Gutman won a championship with the University of Denver. He played all 4 years at Denver. He chose to become an unrestricted free agent. So it's the college players, they're great in terms of drafting them because, you can kind of watch them develop at the NCAA level. Then you don't have to worry in the short term about contracts, but you have to worry about long term. So if Isaac Howard decides to go back for year 4, I'd be a little worrisome of that. But Alex Killorn signed after his 4th year at Harvard, right? As soon as he was done with his 4 years at Harvard, he signed a contract with the Lightning, went on to Norfolk and helped them win a Calder Cup in 2012, or 2013, 2012 with Norfolk.
It just occurred to me that NIL changes the whole equation because, normally he wouldn't make any money in his senior year. Now he can make money. Are hockey players making big money in NIL in college? I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure
I'll find out though.
But
I would think they are.
There's probably some, especially at college schools like Michigan State and Michigan, right? They're a little bit more high profile than some of the other schools for sure. I'm sure that factors into it. But this is how an NHL team in the Lightning situation would approach Howard at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You sign with us now because entry level contracts are pretty standard, right? There's bonus structures that are standard. The salary, the base rate, the salary is standard. But what you do with a player like Howard is you tell them, you sign this contract now and you will burn year 1 of your ELC. So now you only have 2 full years before you hitch that second contract, right?
Right.
That
That's
bridge,
important.
That bridge contract.
Yeah.
But you also tell them, you'll also come to the big club. You'll skate with Nikita Kucherov. You'll skate with Braden Point. You'll work and you'll practice. We'll get you into a game. We'll see how you look, and then see how it goes. Again, the jump from college to the NHL right away, not the easiest.
No.
But he's 21 now. He's not 20. He's not 18. He's not 19. So he's got a little bit more mileage under his belt a little bit. And as I mentioned, being in the gym, he's got more of a man's body, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I would say that based on the conversations that I've had, I would say the odds of him joining the Lightning are better than him not joining the Lightning at the end of whenever his season ends. And the Frozen Four is usually the first weekend of April, which, right around the end of the regular season for Tampa Bay.
Interesting. Very interesting. What about Dylan Duke? Anybody else and here's the thing with Isaac Howard is you've got an opportunity. We're looking to add some depth scoring. So it's something where, this is not just a throwaway. Like you might be able to come help us win a cup. I mean, that seems like a pretty appealing thing. You get paid and you get into the Stanley Cup playoffs like right away.
And you get into a system with the Lightning who have proven over the past decade plus and how good their development is.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Braden Point. Braden Point was a 3rd-round draft pick. He got in here, started working with Barb Underhill on a regular basis, and he went from an okay skater to one of the top skaters in the league.
Yeah.
Carter Verhaeghe. People don't remember this. Carter Verhaeghe was kind of flittering between the ECHL and the AHL. The Lightning picked him up for Christos Gudlevskis from the New York Islanders, brought him into the system, worked on his skating. He turned himself into a guy who could barely stay in the AHL to a 30 and a 40 goal scorer and a Stanley Cup champion with the Panthers because of his work within the Lightning system. I remember JP, when the league shut down for COVID in March of 2020, and the team came back for that July camp before everybody went up to Canada. Yeah. Carter Verhaeghe might have been the fastest skater at that little mini camp, and that's faster than Braden Point. That's how much he improved on his skating, and that was the only thing ever holding him back, was getting his skating to an NHL level, and it was because of his work within the system. He put in the work. The Lightning and Barb Underhill gave him the foundation, but he put in the work, and he translated that into a pretty good little NHL career. Unfortunately, not here.
Right? Yeah.
It just shows you.
Damn salary cap.
Yep.
So you mentioned making moves. Are there any names? I know there are a lot of names out there, but which ones are actually in play, you think, for the Lightning, for that middle six?
I have not studied it.
Okay.
I look at guys like Jake Evans in Montreal.
Yeah.
He's kind of an ideal fit. Another name that was brought to my attention, Josh Anderson, also in Montreal, 6'5", I think.
Yeah.
He was a menace. not to bring up bad memories, but he was a menace for Columbus in 2019 in that series against Tampa Bay.
Yes, he was. That's right. Yeah.
So
I
guys
have an incredible memory.
He does.
Guys like that in that mold, I think, are probably where. So you're not necessarily shopping at the high rent district.
Yeah.
But somewhere like right around here would be an area where Julian would probably look for.
We're not Walmart. We're not Tiffany's. We're about Target level.
Yeah, maybe Target, maybe Macy's.
Kohl's.
Kohl's,
Yeah.
I like Kohl's.
I like Kohl's too, but I think they're closer to Walmart than they are.
Are they? Really?
In my mind.
Oh, okay.
In my mind.
See, I have them above Target, like for me.
All right, partner.
Don't tell anybody I shop there.
Tonight versus Team Finland. Let's see what happens. So, who are you picking in the four? I know I should give you tonight to look at all 4 teams, but I'll make it. You got to make a call right now. Who you got?
I got the U.S. I got the U.S.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to and look. Saturday night's game is gonna be so much fun. I mean, Finland Sweden would be a good game too. That's a big rivalry on the international stage. But the U.S.-Canada game Saturday night in Montreal, the atmosphere.
Oh my God!
It's gonna be. I mean, look, JP, we were in Montreal in 2004, right? That run to the cup and the chills that you got from the pregame.
I'm getting them right now
for the playoffs. That. Yeah, it's going to be even better for Canada, U.S. in the situation with all that star power on the ice. Oh, what!
I think it's going to have the feel of a gold medal game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
For sure.
And if they meet in the final on Thursday.
Yep. It'll be in Boston.
And be in Boston.
Which will be good, which will be fine, but I think the Montreal thing is just a whole nother level.
Yeah, they do things kind of like Vegas has the glitz and the glamour of their game. Montreal is sort of the subtle, legendary history of the game, and they have a much different approach, but do it better than anybody else.
I agree.
In the league. I mean, they were one of the first teams to project stuff down onto the ice, right?
Yeah.
And they would have all the legends of the Canadians' history and good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun on Saturday. But I like the U.S. in this tournament. I think that while they may not have the elite of the elite like the Canada does, I think their depth is a little bit better. Obviously, their goaltending is a big advantage. And I think on defense, Jacob Slavin, this might be a coming out party for Jacob Slavin because he's kind of been a guy in Carolina who's helped them to the success they've had, but they've never reached a Stanley Cup final. And Slavin, he's going to be on that top pairing. You want to talk about a player who never makes a mistake and just does everything right, physical. And, Jacob Slavin's that guy. If there was an award for the best defensive defenseman in the league instead of just the Norris Trophy, Slavin would win it every year. He's that good. And, you've got a Werenski and a McAvoy. I mean, they're deep on defense as well. Like I said, you miss Quinn Hughes, you slot in Jake Sanderson, and he's playing 28 minutes a night for Ottawa. So I just like the way the U.S. that they're going to have to handle the crowd because look, these players have played in Montreal before, and some of them in pressure situations. This is going to be nothing like
it's going to be different.
Before. Yeah. It's going to be a much different atmosphere than they've ever had. And that includes guys, on the Lightning who have played in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
So it's
all right. Four nations. Tonight we get USA, Finland. Saturday it's USA, Canada. That's going to be so free. Who needs a Super Bowl? Give me USA, Canada, and Montreal.
Yes, this will be much closer than the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Way more interesting.
Yeah, no Tay-Tay, no Kendrick Lamar. All right, good. LightningInsider.com. Give a little plug, my friend.
Yep, that's the website. There's two opportunities to sign up. There's a monthly plan that's $4.99. There's a yearly plan that's $40, which comes out to just over $3 a month. And it's so important. I think JP, what you do here, and the local media. There's the landscape is changing. The normal independent sort of media that we've known throughout our careers is disappearing.
No longer.
So, if you want the coverage, you got to go to places. It's so important to have local people invested in the coverage and the people who provide that coverage. So, that's why, people watch your show, and hopefully go to the website. Again, it's going to cost you less than $1 per month to sign up.
Absolutely worth it. If you're a hockey fan, absolutely 100% worth it. And not only that, support local media. Like Eric, myself, and the guys they're doing it. We ain't getting rich, but we just want to do it because we love it, and we're giving it. So appreciate you. Thanks, Eric.
All right, boys, be well.
Yeah. Man, I just love talking hockey with that dude. It's so good.
It's a memory like an elephant.
Friend, it's like talking to your best friend, just talking hockey. It's fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Never forget anything.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, Scott Hamilton's going to join us. We're going to talk a little college hoops.
Yeah.
Maybe a little NASCAR, maybe a little bit of everything. So stick with us. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. 40% off. Buy one, get one, 40% off. So if you're late and you've been putzing around, you haven't done your Valentine's shopping, just head on over to the Gold and Diamond Source. Make it easy on yourself. Just bring your credit card. Tell them what you want to spend. They'll hook you up with buy one, get one, 40% off. If you're popping the question, it's got to be a real diamond, not a fake diamond, guys. Make sure it's the real thing, and you'll know it's the real thing because it's at the Gold and Diamond Source. 40 years they've been in business. Julie and Steve Weintraub, absolute treasures, Tampa Bay treasures. So keep it local, shop local, and get your business done at the Gold and Diamond Source for Valentine's Day. Back in 3 with Scott Hamilton. Stay with us.
Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. Hey guys, why not kick off 2025 by popping the question? Yes, and you know where to get that perfect engagement ring. It's the Gold and Diamond Source. The best prices, the best quality, and yes, get her a real diamond. You don't want to go with the fake stuff. And January's birthstone is garnet for all you FSU fans, right? Get 15% off all the unforgettable garnet jewelry at the Gold and Diamond Source. Also, discover Emilique by Emily Johnson Weintraub, a sleek and modern jewelry line that makes everyday gifts extraordinary. And don't forget, you have any unused gold? Turn it into cash or a stunning new piece. With gold prices soaring, there's no better time to trade up. You can do it all at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at theGoldenDiamondSource.com.
This Valentine's Day, a real hit by coming to Alessi Promotions Gloves and Roses, a night of professional boxing. We'll have something special for all the ladies. February 14th at the Downtown Hilton, experience professional boxing. Citrus County's own Drake Banks, a 7-0 heavyweight with 5 knockouts. And featuring our main event, an NBA title fight featuring undefeated Stephen Ray Jr. Get your tickets online at AlessiPromotions.com or scan the QR code and go directly to eTix.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll on at this, what the hell day is it now, Thursday?
Thursday, if it don't rain, as my dad used to say.
Golly, every day runs just together these days. I don't know what it is. And
Yeah.
it's, you know what? It's a lack of a football rhythm week, you know, where the interviews are, Thursday night football, all that stuff. Like my whole body clock is determined by the NFL now. So
My
sad.
whole body clock is determined by Good Morning Football, which I can't watch right now because it's all freaking Eagles crap. I'm about to disown Kyle Brandt and Peter Schrager and just tell them to F off because I'm done with it.
Well, how would I say that?
If JP were to tell someone to do that, it might sound something like this.
F you, F you, F you, and F you. Peace out. I'm going to go have a Guinness.
Although I am not going to go have a Guinness after the show, JP, I am going to take part in several Miller Lights.
You have plans after the show?
I do have lunch plans after the show, and there will be Miller Lights being drunken. And there might be several ladies present at said.
Oh, that means Fireball too.
I don't have time to date just one girl, so I just have to bring them all together and say, all right, if y'all want me, you got to come together and fight for me. So that's what we're doing.
I love it. You're the new Cody. You're the new Cody.
I'll take it.
Well, with all that, let's bring in a man who knows a lot about multiple wives and Fireball and Miller Lite. Great stuff. But you never had an intro like that.
But I can't say it's wrong.
We all got to stick together, right?
That's a beautiful setting you have there, Scott. Where are we?
It's not Daytona.
No, I'm on my back porch. It's my back porch.
You're on the back porch with the puppies?
Is that code? Your swingers club is called My Back Porch?
Look at that. That is a nice back porch right there. That is beautiful.
That's what she said.
Got my TVs.
That is not turn one at Daytona.
No.
I was not able to make it today. I'm going to shoot for this weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll find out.
Well, before we get into college hoops, because we got lots to talk about college hoops, let's just real quick, what you know about the NASCAR season this year. I want to know what Kerry Earnhardt's year is going to look like and if Rusty Wallace has a chance for the title this year.
What Kerry Earnhardt's year is going to look like? Well, he's going to be helping. He designs homes up in the Lake Norman area.
Oh, is he not racing anymore?
It's been a while.
I mean, I know Dale Jr. retired. What's Dale Earnhardt doing these days?
Well, he is actually going to be on Sirius XM from 3 to 7, Dirty Mo Media. That's what I was supposed to be down there on that. So that's not happening today. So, but you guys are good too. I like y'all too.
Wow.
But
he dumped Dale Earnhardt Jr. for us, JP. How you like that?
Wow.
Okay, sure. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
It's just going to be another season of pretty much the same, the same players, the same guys. The car hasn't changed a whole lot. The most interesting thing will be some of the litigation between 2311 Racing and NASCAR, and I'm not going to bog down into the minutia of that. But
Michael Jordan, right?
Yes, that's Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. And I went by their race center in Charlotte a couple of years ago. It's in Huntersville.
Mm-hmm.
The headquarters they've made is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I've
seen it.
I can't adequately describe it, but it's just people are excited for racing. I mean, I like NASCAR. I do. I enjoy NASCAR. I loved the Clash a couple of weeks ago in Winston-Salem at Bowman Gray. That was, well, I have a lot of history with that stadium, and that was just fantastic. So we'll see. I'm wanting to explore IndyCar. They've been pushing IndyCar a lot lately. Well, I don't know anything about it. I've heard good things. You've told me good things, of course, IndyCar, Tim.
Yeah.
And I think maybe at some point this year we hook up and we go to IndyCar race and we do a series of helpful videos for the novice such as myself.
Let's go to the 500 this year. Let's just all meet at the 500.
What 500?
Okay, that sounds good. I mean,
there's only one 500.
Come to St. Pete for the Firestone Grand Prix that's happening here at the end of the month. Yeah,
that's a road race, right?
Yes, it's a
street circuit. Street circuit.
1.8 mile, 14 turn street circuit that I've actually ridden in the back of a Indy car. 2000. Yeah, I need to show the video on the show. We showed it on my other show the other night we were doing. But I literally they had a 2-seater. And I wish I could remember my driver's name. He's a French driver. This is like 2008, 2009.
Sebastian Bourdais.
No, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. But so he took me. You get in, 14-point harness, suit, the whole nine, helmet. Yeah. So we got in and did the ride along. And he's like, the first rule is that is your emergency lever. All right.
Was it Patrick Carpentier?
It was.
That's there you go. He's French Canadian, yeah.
Yeah, he says, I have one rule. Do not touch the emergency lever under any circumstances. I'm like, okay. And so the first 30 seconds, I was like, I'm pulling this motherfucker because I'm about to die. I was so.
And you probably wasn't even going fast.
And you're going through these first few turns when you come out of the pits, you got a little bit of a straightaway. And then you hit the turns. And it's like, I don't know how many G's we were pulling, but I was uncomfortable and very. And so then we get on the backstretch, and I looked up and I saw some familiar buildings, and I just started to breathe. I said, just keep breathing. Don't stop breathing. So I finally relaxed. And the last, lap and a half were just absolutely magical. And I couldn't get enough of it. I wanted to keep going. It was so incredible. The grip on these cars, to feel the grip on the cars as you're going around is, it's hard to describe. It really is. And we were going 145 miles into a turn, a hairpin turn. And when they shift down and they brake, you're hitting that imaginary brake with your right foot. Right? There's no brake there, but you're hitting it.
You're leaning.
Like, when's he going to brake? Like at some point before we hit that concrete wall, he's going to brake, right? And you whip around that turn. And then, he was talking to me on the comms. He's like, how you doing? How you doing? I'm like, at first I was like, not good. And I was like, I'm good. He goes, you want me to hit it in the straightaway? Yes. And I said, yes. And he hit it on that straightaway. And let me tell you what, man, I went.
It's like being in a jet fighter.
It was insane. And as you could probably explain to the folks, Scott, being there is a totally different thing than watching it on TV. It's not even close. Right?
Yeah. I mean, and to your experience, I've done the Richard Petty driving school, which was I've literally gone faster on some highways in Eastern Kentucky. I mean, it was great. It was great, but I'm like, the coolest thing was we did it at Charlotte, which is the worst track. I'm just going to throw that out there. I hate Charlotte. Wow. It's better now. Well, it's cookie cutter, mile and a half. They do have the Roval now where you.
It was the first though. It was the first cookie cutter mile and a half.
Yeah, and it's at
Texas Motor Speedway is an exact replica of it.
Cookie cutters are awful, dude. Martinsville is amazing. All Bristol's anyway.
I covered a race at Martinsville back in the day.
It's awesome. Did you get a hot dog?
Bowman Gray. Yeah, I worked in Greensboro in 95 and 96. Went to Bowman Gray. Went to Martinsville. Went up the one up in the mountains in Boone.
not Rockingham, Wilkesboro, North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, North Wilkesboro. Yeah, they were still racing in North Wilkesboro when I was.
Well, they're back. They do the All-Star race there now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
you talk
waste of
about one
time.
road in, one road out. I mean, these. I mean, these
421.
That's it. That's it. And I loved it. I freaking loved it. Yeah.
But the biggest question mark in NASCAR going into this year is, are they moving the numbers on the sides of the cars from behind the front wheel back to the middle of the door? Why in God's name is it behind the front wheel? It's a ridiculous spot.
I can't argue with that. And honestly, I have bigger concerns right now.
That's
So
the
you go
biggest
off and
concern I have for NASCAR.
now, back to you being in Greensboro.
Yeah.
I was the columnist at the Winston-Salem Journal for 8 years, man. Greensboro was our sister paper. I spent a lot of time in Greensboro. Did you know Ed Harden? By any chance? Ed is one of my best friends. See, we're bonding, Timmy.
You're listening to live coverage of JP and Scott broing it up together, reminiscing of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Well, the best part of my time in Greensboro was, God, my brain, I can't remember names. These guys were so awesome. Dave Gorin was at our sister
XII.
station.
Yeah.
Well, just an absolute jewel of a human. And then the guys that ran the PR for NASCAR, which at that time was still Winston, and those guys were just the best. And they would wine and dine us at Pinehurst every year.
Yeah.
You go to the Pinehurst thing for, oh my God, it was just the greatest. It was the greatest day of ever, Tim. They take you to Pinehurst for 3 days, put you up in the Pinehurst Hotel, play Pinehurst number 2, number 7, and just, I mean, you want to talk about getting some coverage for NASCAR? And we there's nothing we wouldn't do. Like, yeah, whatever you need. You want a half-hour special? Sure, whatever you want.
It's funny though. You had the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, but the Winston Cup Hall of Fame is in Winston-Salem.
Mm-hmm.
They had to shut it down because R.J. Reynolds, they're a bunch of pricks, and they won't let them use the Winston name, even though it's a not-for-profit organization. So they had to shut it down. They were getting sued. This mom and pop, these people own the
Oh my
Hall of
God!
Fame.
Come on.
Yeah. So if you smoke, and this is a public service message, you shouldn't smoke. But if you do smoke, don't smoke anything from Reynolds Tobacco.
Not anymore. Not anymore. They're good people.
My dad smoked Winston's as long as I can remember.
Well, let's talk some college hoops now, which I was admonished yesterday by our great commenters who I have ignored today, and we will get to you guys here in just a little bit. I apologize. By someone who was like, hey, if FSU was doing it, you'd be talking about it every day. But the Gators have beaten 2 number 1, and they're absolutely right, by the way, 100% right. So I need to give the Gators their due. And they're playing a tremendous brand of basketball and have a real shot at winning the national title. Or do they? What are your thoughts on the Gators?
I think there are probably 8 teams in the SEC that has a shot at winning that title. I'm a top 25 voter. I had them number 6 this week just by virtue of that. I don't have my computer in front of me. It's been a morning, but I want to say they had a 20-point loss to Tennessee earlier. But that was the only difference. The Florida is playing out of their mind. What he's done there, I think this is year 3 for Todd Golden. Absolutely incredible. And it's no coincidence they're starting to play better as all this litigation is going away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had to think that was something they were dealing with going into the season. The Southeastern Conference, and here's the thing. It goes back to Mike Slive right before he left as commissioner. He said, we need to be good at basketball. So he had like a summit with the ADs and the school presidents and says, we're going to be better at basketball. Then comes Sankey, and he says, we're going to be better at basketball. And he goes and he gets Mike Tranghese, remember, from the old Big East?
East, yeah.
As an advisor to help elevate the basketball brands. So they started putting all the football money into basketball. They had better facilities, and they went out and got big-name coaches who looked at SEC schools as destinations and not as another rung on the ladder. But, here's the thing. To be an SEC coach, you got to be able to know that you're going to be second fiddle. You got to be a good coach who can pocket his ego. And that's what you have with a Nate Oates. He knows that no matter how good he does, he'll never be Nick Saban. He'll be better than Kalen DeBoer probably, but not Nick Saban.
Wow.
I don't think he's number 2 anymore.
No, well, yeah. And even Bruce Pearl, Bruce Pearl knows that at the end of the day, it's all about War Eagle football. But being able to see what they're doing in the Southeastern Conference, Man, and don't forget Saturday, 1 versus 2, Alabama-Auburn.
Alabama-Auburn, yeah.
First time in SEC history, 1 versus 2 in basketball. I mean, I'm stoked, man, because I grew up in Eastern Kentucky, and it was always the Wildcats carrying the load for the entire conference. It would be UK and then one other team every year. It'd be maybe an LSU, maybe a Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
There are 10 teams. I mean, the worst team in the Southeastern Conference is South Carolina, and they would be middle of the pack in the ACC. They'd be Clemson.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I love it, man. I love it. I mean, I'm a football guy like we all are at the end of the day, but it's good to see the Southeastern Conference being such historically significant in basketball.
So they've got 4 teams in the top 8. Yeah. Auburn, Alabama, Florida, 1, 2, 3, and A&M's at number 8.
Auburn lost and still number 1.
I know. How crazy is that?
I had Bama. I flipped them. I had Bama at number 1.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to need you to start putting A&M at number 1. Okay. Just come on. I mean, nobody cares about votes.
I think I had A&M, and again, I don't have it in front of me. I think I had them 16, maybe.
You're dumb. Your vote doesn't matter.
Well, they are probably the most physical team in the entire conference.
They are. They're very physical.
I love watching their team, and I love watching what Buzz Williams does. I like
He's fun to watch coach too, man. I love Buzz.
I had a little relationship with Buzz at Virginia Tech, when I was covering ACC, and he is exactly what they need at A&M. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time, though, before I wonder if Scott Woodward poaches him, takes him to LSU.
Maybe. I mean, everybody was afraid of that a couple of years ago, so we'll see.
Did he used to coach at App State?
No. No. He was at where was Buzz before Virginia Tech? Jim Fox was at App State. He went from he was an assistant for a long time for McKillop at Davidson. Then went to App State.
He was at Marquette before, just for a couple of years before that.
Weird fit too. Texas guy in Wisconsin.
Well, he was born in Greenville, right down the road here from Dallas, a little bit east. So he's a local dude here in Texas, and he was an assistant at A&M. Actually, he was an assistant at A&M Kingsville a long time ago, then an assistant at A&M, and then, now he's the big guy since 2019. But he's turned that program around. They're relevant again. They've had some tough losses over the last couple of years that have kept them out of contention in the tournament. But I think Buzz has done wonders down there in College Station for sure.
I'm kind of sideways with the state of Texas, though, for giving Kentucky Billy Gillespie.
Yeah.
That was not good. First time I ever saw Billy Gillespie was at the Kentucky Derby in 2007.
Oh, Lord.
And we're up in Millionaires Row, and there's this doofus leaned up against the wall with his fedora pulled over his hat, and he is grinning, man. I mean, it is the biggest grin you ever seen in your life. And I go, who the hell is that? And they go, that's our new basketball coach. He was drunk as a dog. He hadn't even coached a game yet. Billy G, God love his heart.
Yeah, let's talk a little Big 12.
Yeah.
If you want to talk some Big 12, Houston, the top-ranked team in the Big 12 at number 6, that my Texas Tech Red Raiders knocked off not too long ago, by the way, ended their 33-game home court winning streak. And then, of course, you've got Iowa State at number 10, and one of our faithful viewers, John Hill, wants to know, how did Iowa State fare in your voting, Scott Hamilton?
Timmy, I don't have it in front of me right now, and again, it's a lot to deal with. If one of y'all could go to collegepolltracker.com, it's a tremendous resource. You can see each individual ballot for all 61 voters. And you can see the trends, and it'll even tell you if like one voter is biased against another. Fortunately, my ballot usually comes up one of the least extreme. That's what it's labeled. That means it most aligns with the actual poll. But if you go to collegepolltracker.com, you can pull up my ballot, and we'll find out.
There you go, John.
Do you have it pulled up, Timmy?
How do I find yours? Like I just see the main
go where it says pollsters.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, I got it. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me. Again, I've been putting out some fires this morning in paradise.
Understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Scott, you had Iowa State number 10.
Number 10. Okay. I hope that's good enough for him. and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. It does not matter. None of
you also had
matters.
A&M number 9.
Okay, but there you go. I thought I had them 16. But it does not matter, because at the end of the day, it's about the metrics, the quad one and the net and this, that, and the other. It's like, I was AP football, and I love doing AP football. Love it. But after those first playoff rankings come out, most thankless job in the world. Nobody cares.
Mm-hmm. Nobody cares.
When you have a tournament, that's all that matters. I mean, if we did rankings in the NFL, JP, Would you give a crap? Would you really care? No.
They do power rankings all the time. Nobody looks at them.
Yeah, every media outlet does it different too, so it really doesn't matter.
Busy work.
I mean, rankings are good for fans to brag about, right? Or to complain when their team's not in it. That's really all it's good for.
It's content to consume when you're eating lunch and you want to read something about football.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to my Greensboro days, to me, the 90s were the heyday of college basketball. I think it was, for me, maybe you could go the 80s and the 90s, just because that's when you had teams, North Carolina teams with Antoine Jameson and it was incredible. You had an NBA team playing for 3 or 4 years. They'd stay there. Everybody would know the names. You'd get used to, all the guys, and they were tremendous players. Of course, that doesn't happen anymore. But now with NIL, where guys can get more money in college basketball than they can as a rookie in the NBA, maybe that's changing a little bit, Scott. Do you see college basketball making a bit of a comeback because there's going to be more stability in the rosters, or is it just
absolutely no? I think you're spot on, and I've actually addressed this. I mean, one and done darn near killed college basketball.
Absolutely.
And the irony is the NIL is what's saving it, So we're I think about Oscar Sheepway at Kentucky, player of the year, led the nation in rebounding 2 straight years. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, he's going to go pro. He's going to go pro." No, NIL, because he was going to be a mid-level NBA player.
Right.
So you have to be able to get that money while you can. And I even think the portal is a good thing. I really do in college basketball, because you've got a guy like a Brad Brownell. We'll use him as an example. I just had a column on him yesterday. They just beat Duke. They just beat North Carolina. They're second in the ACC. They're probably going to be about a 4 seed. It's amazing. But Brad has been at Clemson for 15 years, and he's actually doing his best now because of the portal. And it's not because he's going out and he's chasing great white sharks and the elite of the elite who are in the portal. He's just able to identify guys who fit his program and his culture. And he's like, you know what? This guy could be what we're missing with this. He doesn't have to be a superstar, just a glue guy or somebody who excels in one particular area who's good with the group. And the last 3 years, Brad's been able to do that. And they've had tremendous success, Elite 8 last year. So I really I actually like the direction of college basketball more than college football right now. I mean, I think college football is in a pretty good space, all things considered. With a playoff, I thought was fantastic. But I think college basketball, to JP's point, the 80s and 90s, man. And think about this, JP. We watched games in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
In the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Monday on Wednesday. That's some, and because college basketball was going in such a good direction, it's going to help the Big 12s of the world because they are smart enough. Brett Yormark is smart enough to own that space during the week, because everybody wants to watch the ACC, SEC, Big Ten on the weekend. There's a vacuum during the week, and there's money to be made there, and that'll keep the Big 12s sustainable, even though the football money might not be even.
Right.
No, I think it's a great point I think it's because so many players, and the bad part about it is these guys would go to the NBA, you'd get about 80 or 90 guys that would declare, and 75 of those guys wouldn't even make rosters. And if they were if they were still in college basketball, the teams would be better, the product would be better, and these kids have to go to the G League or go to Europe. You go to Europe when they could be playing in front of packed houses in the SEC or ACC or whatever,
and getting paid 5 times as much money.
Yes,
$800,000 to go play for Mississippi State instead of being in the G League in Greensboro.
Right, exactly. So I think it can help, and it just needs a little bit of more. As I think they've lost a lot. They've lost a lot of college basketball fans that I think should now come back because the product is getting better, and let's hope it continues that way. Because I'm excited to start getting into college basketball now that football is over. I can't even look at it until the Super Bowl's over. It's kind of my brain.
Should they move the season? I don't think college basketball should start till midway through December myself.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
I don't,
because there's a vacuum. If you could push the tournament to April, why not?
That's not happening. You got the Masters. That's not happening.
April Madness doesn't have the same ring to it, and I get it. It's March Madness, but It could definitely elongate, and it would be fine with me. But I get it. It's into the calendar, sports calendar. All right, Scotty. Thanks for your time as always, my friend.
Hey, never forget. How about that?
That's beautiful.
Hey, y'all are invited anytime. Come to Charleston. I got y'all.
Where are you at, Charleston?
What's in Charleston?
Well, we got shrimp and grits. That's all.
Is there any good seafood restaurants there that I should know about?
We got Long John Silver's. We got Captain D's.
One of the most beautiful cities in America, without question. Absolutely love it. The Low Country. I love it. Thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it.
All righty, bud. See y'all.
All right. I'm gonna call you and we can reminisce about the 90s. And I didn't really, as I recall now, I remember him because we covered all the same stuff. I knew when I first saw him, and and his name, I was like, I know that dude from somewhere. But my brain doesn't work like
you just didn't know where, right?
Yeah, I didn't know where. Now I remember. Yeah, we went to all the same events, all the same things. I was working for a ABC station in Greensboro, and God, it was fun. It was fun covering NASCAR and covering the ACC back in the day. Holy moly, it was incredible. I mean, and I remember having a conversation with Tim Duncan. This is like '96. And he could have gone his junior and senior year to the NBA. I think it was junior and senior, maybe been sophomore and junior. But anyway, he stayed 2 years longer because he enjoyed the college experience. And he said to me, listen, every player would stay in college if they could, but you got to take the money. Like for him, money wasn't important at that particular. He loved the college experience. He loved going to class. He loved learning. He loved, Tim Duncan's a super smart guy. He loved that atmosphere, and that's why he stayed. And almost got to a national championship game. Had Randolph Childress. Those two were just incredible watching those guys play. Yeah. But he was just such a cerebral guy, and he said all players would stay if they could get paid, or if they could just get paid and then delay their entry into the NBA. That's what I've always said. Let the NBA players get drafted by teams, but stay in college until they're ready to play. Just develop your game in college, because the thing is, the NBA coaches don't want these kids. They have to take them, and sometimes they have to play them because they're number one draft picks, and they're just not ready. Their bodies aren't ready. Their emotions aren't ready, and the kids don't want to go because they're hanging out with a bunch of old men. To them, it's just they'd rather stay in college. So I think NIL will actually help fix this a little bit, and kids can stay in college longer and develop their games. But they could also adjust the rules, and it would be way better.
It would
way
be.
Better.
Yep.
All right, let's hit our break. We'll come back on the other side, get to the comments. Sorry, we've been ignoring you guys, but we'll get to the comments here, and there's some raised questions in here as well. And we'll talk a little Bucs when we get back. Stay with us.
Make this Valentine's Day a real hit by coming to Alessi Promotions Gloves and Roses, a night of professional boxing. We'll have something special for all the ladies. February 14th at the Downtown Hilton, experience professional boxing. Citrus County's own Drake Banks, a 7-0 heavyweight with 5 knockouts. And featuring our main event, an NBA title fight featuring undefeated Stephen Ray Jr. Get your tickets online at AlessiPromotions.com or scan the QR code and go directly to eTix.
Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Third Generation Plumbing. If you're looking for an honest contractor to help you out with your rebuild after the hurricane, plumbing, AC, any of the work inside, Third Generation Plumbing can handle all of it, and they've been in business since 1995. So there's a lot of scammers out there. Just talked to a friend of mine that interviewed 10 contractors to work on her house and said every one of them were scammers. So go with the reputable folks, and that's thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Just go to the website, contact them through there, and tell them JP sent you. Great people over there. They can do anything around the house, not just plumbing, not just AC. Anything you need, give them a call. Third Generation Plumbing. Great folks over there.
Yep.
All right, should we get to some of our comments here today, my friend?
Let's do it.
By the way, a happy birthday to Jason Light.
Yes.
It is his birthday today, and he is busy, I'm sure, at work today trying to find an elite pass rusher. But wait a minute.
Better be.
He already has one. Did you know that?
I didn't see him.
Yeah. No. Yaya Diaby tweeted out yesterday. I just retweeted it. I can't wait to prove all the doubters wrong. Trust and believe I'm an elite pass rusher. FYI, watch film.
I would love nothing more for that than for that to be true.
Well, you know what he was ranked by PFF in terms of pressures? 9th.
Like in the 60s, right?
9th. 9th out of 211.
Out of 211. I mean, that sounds elite if you believe everything that Pro Football Focus tells you.
Which I don't. But 65. Well, it might help if he wasn't dropping into coverage on 20% of his snaps.
Right, and that's not his fault.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault. So, I'm not doubting him. I think Diaby can be an elite pass rusher, and the numbers suggest that he is. So why isn't he thought of that way? I think he only got, 5.5 sacks this year? I think he had 5.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with the scheme.
Go figure. And who controls the scheme, JP?
That would be your head coach, Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
But it's all about the players. And
4.5 sacks, by the way. Tied for 95th in the league with 4.5 sacks this year.
Yeah. You know, elite pass rushers have more than that. But, again, no, Todd Bowles needs to do some self-scouting and change his scheme, in my opinion, and get better. You know, everybody wants to say all the injuries. There were some injuries. There were, no question about it. Every team has injuries. You got to build depth. You got to be able to play through injuries and be somewhat competent.
Yeah.
Mike H says, Tim, have you gone to Formula One in Austin?
I have. I've been to the Formula One race. I went to the very first one in Austin. I've been to several Formula One venues around the country in 35, 40 years of watching IndyCar and F1. I've been to the F1 Grand Prix up at Indy that sucked. I've been to Long Beach when F1 still raced there. My next goal for a F1 race is Miami and Vegas. I'd love to go see the new tracks at Miami and Vegas.
To me, F1 is just it's so, I don't know. It's too much sparkle and show, not enough good racing.
It is. It's not like to me, the heyday of F1 was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Even after Senna died in 94, just the cars were more even, the teams were more even. You still had Williams and McLaren that were huge steps up from some of the other competition, but because the cars were more humanly driven back then, the competition was still better, and I think the cars were a lot better. I absolutely hate the Formula One cars, even though they're changing them for 2026. I'm not a big. The cars are still too big. You mentioned Monaco earlier, JP. The cars are too big now to be competitive around the tiny, tiny circuit that is Monaco. It's hard to pass. It's hard to watch. But now the cars are so automated. Everything is computerized. The drivers have very little to do with it other than just their sheer guts, taking a corner as fast as they possibly can. But it's pretty lopsided competition wise. IndyCar is a lot more competitive. The cars are not nearly as technologically advanced in IndyCar as they are in Formula One. And to me, the IndyCar races are a lot more interesting to watch because of that. But I still always love F1.
The Indianapolis 500 last year with Newgarden and Pato O'Ward was the best. That was the best Indy race I think I've ever seen. I mean, that was incredible.
Go back and watch the 1991 race on YouTube, or the last 5 laps of the 91 race. You'll change it.
Okay. But that one last year, you got to say that to me, and I remember talking about it with you, it's like, wow, this could change the trajectory of IndyCar racing. It was that good.
I hate Joseph Newgarden too.
Is he Joseph or Joseph?
It's Joseph. He's American. He's not. Yeah, he's 100% American.
Yeah. So he won.
Yeah.
The St. Pete Grand Prix until it was taken away from him for a push the pass violation, whatever the hell that is. I can't even.
It has to do with their boost. Yeah.
So anyway, so him and Pato O'Ward have, I would say, a legitimate rivalry going now, and they have to settle this again at St. Pete. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully. John Hill says, my daughter, Eastlake High School grad, 07, played 3 years of flag football, taking her team to the state tournament. Fastest girl on the team is the rusher. Bucs could learn that edge rusher is critical. Oh, little shout out.
Wow.
To Eastlake High School.
Look at that.
And John says, make Russia the 52nd state so Vassy can be on TV.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
The 51st state, Canada, that would be fun. Speaking of NASCAR, I saw somewhere that there's just 7 to 10 active drivers who made a Daytona 500 start. Is that true?
No idea.
Jesus. That's the problem with NASCAR right now. I don't know who the hell the drivers are.
I don't either.
Mike H says pole position for the 500, number 19, Toyota Chase Briscoe, Joe Gibbs Racing tonight, 7:00, the dual 150s. Yeah, that is tonight too. That'll slots 3 through 43.
Couldn't tell you.
The dual races tonight at Daytona.
I'll probably watch a little bit of that as I'm watching, of course, U.S. and Finland at the same time.
Yes, I'll be watching U.S. Finland tonight. Aaron Rodgers just got fired, says Thomas Casper.
Well, that happened a week ago, but they may have just made it official.
Yes. John Hill says, Scott, please move Iowa State above Tim. What's his name now? God damn it.
Gig 'em, baby.
Uh-huh. Christopher Cole says, my brother works in NASCAR, and he has his own pit crew business that he outsources guys to pit different teams, and he also pits too. Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah. Now pit crews have elite athletes working for them. Not old guys.
It doesn't seem that long ago that it was just fat guys smoking cigarettes while they're changing. They're not even in fire suits. They're like in T-shirts and shorts while they're changing, tires in the pit. And there wasn't even pit speed limits back then. Like you have guys strolling down pit lane at 100 miles an hour, screeching into the pit box. And then Fat Joe comes out with a cigarette hanging out, and then the fuel tank, and then, and
it gets hit by the 100 mile an hour car.
Yeah, those were the days, man.
Those were the days. I used to have a plaque for my pit car competition. Here we go back to Greensboro. We had a media pit crew competition. So we went to Rockingham, and they had the whole thing set up for the pit crew. And then we would divide up into teams, and I got to be the tire changer. So I had to put the knee pads on like you. And then you jump in there. You got to take the tire. You got to and then take the tire off, put it on.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
See, they don't do that anymore, though. They just have the one center lug now, like Indy cars. They don't do the.
That's pussy. I mean, come on, man.
Well, they made the decision to go away from so-called stock cars for safety and make them actual race-specific cars. So that was part of the deal, was you get the one lug. But I'm all for advancement and stuff, but it'll never be the same like it was in the 70s and 80s when these cars were way more stock than they were race car. It was just more interesting.
Yeah, that was super fun. I got to do that, and we won. We won the competition. We did we had a pit stop. I think our pit stop was like 19 seconds, which was not too bad for a bunch of hacks.
Yeah,
So not bad, but those are the fun days.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys for jumping in here. What Christopher said, those guys were so slow too. Who was slow?
The pit guys way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when you had 30-second NASCAR pit stops. Like the driver gets out, goes to the bathroom, and comes back, and they're still changing tires.
You guys done yet? For God's sakes!
I ate a cheeseburger.
God, Joe, get the damn fuel in the tank, will you?
I still think they should have drive-through restaurants on the track so drivers could like pull in and get a burger while they're driving or something.
They could certainly sponsor that. Absolutely. So, interesting, like the Yaya Diaby, like this will, I think this will kind of light a little fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he thinks he's an elite pass rusher. I think he has the ability to be. The numbers, the pressures bear it out, but the sacks certainly don't.
12 sacks in 2 years is not elite. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
But is that partly because of the system he plays in? Maybe.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. And also, sacks also have to do with coverage. Coverage and sacks are, when guys are running wide open, the quarterback can get rid of the ball because you're playing soft coverage. You might get pressures, but you're not going to get sacks.
Yeah.
That's another thing. If your corners are playing 10, 15 yards off the ball, and you got Bo Nix who's just going to come in here and just take what you give him, and you're not getting to the quarterback. I mean, that's got to be super frustrating. And wouldn't you want to just yell at the coach and say, "Can we get somebody out there head up on a freaking receiver so they can't just play pitch and cat, take 3 steps, turn around and get 7 yards?" I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'd be, if I was Yaya Diaby, I'd be very frustrated with the scheme that he plays. And of course, our guys, that's about as close as you're going to get to our guys bitching about anything in the public media, because it is a great culture here with the Buccaneers. But I think he probably feels that way. I think he does.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily blame him. All right. What else did we want to get to? Oh, did you know the Ukraine war is over?
Finally?
Yeah. Trump had a conversation last night with Putin, or yesterday, and then said, I talked with Zelensky, talked with Putin. We're going to end this thing.
There you go. He said he'd do it. Also said it never would have started if he was still in office, and I believe it.
Yeah, I did. Did you see our girl Pam Bondi? Tampa's
yeah.
Our good friend Pam Bondi. She dropped the hammer on Letitia James and Alvin Bragg in New York. Said, "You want to F with the federal government?
Yep,
we're going to sue your ass." That girl is do not F with her.
Yeah.
Do not trust me on this. And my good friend Scotty Fitz, who used to be married to her, do not mess with Pam Bondi. Do not mess with Pam Bondi.
I mean, I'd like to mess with her, but not
Letitia, she's 60 years old.
I know, but she looks so good.
60.
What is it with Trump putting all these hot chicks in positions that I'd like to put them in?
Oh, and the press secretary, Levitt.
Right? She's like 27, though.
She is crushing
all the Dems are complaining, well, she doesn't have experience. She doesn't earn that position. She shouldn't be. You want to bet?
Binder?
Oh, my gosh, dude.
That freaking idiot. Oh my God. Yeah. You want to talk about people who are qualified for the position? Yeah. Let's just look at those two and see what you unbelievable. Fantastic. What else? Anything else we need to get to today?
If for those of you that follow golf, we didn't really talk about Johnny's picks yesterday. We didn't really have time. They did move the Genesis Invitational from Riviera to Torrey Pines, so they'll be back at Torrey Pines for the second time in a month after the Farmers was there just inside of a month ago. And then Tiger, after initially saying he would play in the tournament that he has hosted since 2020, will not play because of the death of his mother, of course. He says he has not completely healed. He is still dealing with it, and as much as he wanted to, he won't be at Torrey Pines. When I really, really would have loved to have seen him play at Torrey Pines, because I think he would have done well on that course. He's done well there historically, and I would have loved to have seen it. But for those of you watching,
he won a U.S. Open there on a broken leg.
Yeah. So, for those of you watching the Genesis Invitational this weekend, it won't be at Riviera because of the wildfires. They moved it to Torrey Pines, and Tiger will not be there. Scotty Scheffler, your favorite at 4-1, and then Rory back at 7-1. Rory's on fire this season. Started off the season really, really well. Scotty's just coming back from his, as I described it on From the Rough, his hand herpes. And then Jordan Spieth, of course, had just had hand surgery too. I think Scotty gave Jordan his hand herpes, and they both had hand injuries at the same time for some reason. That's what you get when you're a couple of Longhorns who probably nap together from time to time. But
my Lord.
Yeah, see, there you go. But full field, the third signature event of the season. Good things will happen at Torrey Pines, so you guys watch out for that this weekend. It's a great track. I love Torrey Pines. I'm not mad they're back there instead of Riviera. I think I like it better than Riviera.
I played Torrey Pines twice, both the North and the South course, and it is. I actually played the front nine from the back tees a few years ago, just to see, because I was playing it about three or 4 weeks ahead of the tournament that was coming the Farmers. So, and I was like, let me just see what it's like from. Holy shit! I'm hitting 3-wood into every par 4. It's long. It plays long and it is hard. Oh,
here's Johnny's picks for those of you interested. Taylor Pendrith 33-1, Shane Lowry 35-1, Tony Finau 40-1. Those are all his winning picks. For his long shot ham sandwich, Adam Scott at 60-1. His top 10s were Jason Day at plus 320, Will Zalatoris at plus 350. His top 20s, Robert McIntyre at plus 125, and Justin Rose at plus 225. And I didn't do picks this week, but I did say if there's a guy you want to throw some money at whatever position, probably top 10, throw some money at Keegan Bradley.
Keegan Bradley, okay.
He's going to do well this week. He's done well here historically. He started the season off pretty well. He's a long hitter, and he's putting pretty well right now. So all of those things combined, I think he'll make a good showing if you want to throw some money at Keegan Bradley.
And wrapping up the waste management, I know that was last week, but God, some of those videos were hilarious. And Dietrich,
oh my gosh,
Dietrich almost getting a hole-in-one on 16 on Sunday. That was
the shot of the tournament because that put him apart. Who was it I forgot who it was in second that missed the green on 16. So that shot by Dietrich just pretty much cemented it for him.
Yeah, and imagine if that went in. It was what, 6 inches maybe?
Yeah.
And it was rolling like towards the hole. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And it was like the right speed. And you're like, holy shit, this is going to go in.
They've sort of mimicked that stadium hole here in Dallas at the Byron Nelson now. It's the same guy that designed that hole, this grandstand around it. I think it's 17 at the Byron Nelson out here. It's in McKinney. And it's not fully enclosed. They're sort of working up to that, but it's very, very similar, and it's raunchous and rowdy. All the beer. I think it's only 2 stories tall, not 3 like they do at TBC Scottsdale, but it's growing into that. And dude, it is a sight, man. I still want to go to Phoenix sometime to see that live. But dude, they're building it up here in Dallas for the Byron Nelson, and it's freaking awesome. Yeah. Every year, I can't wait. Johnny and I will be out there again this year, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, the Valspar has a big one at 17, which is a par 3, but 17 is part of the snake pit, and it's always plays like almost 200 yards.
Yeah.
So when you're playing 200 yards, you're just not getting the same, you know, the chances for hole in ones and close shots are just that hole at 16 just fits it perfectly. Of course, they can move the tees up, but it changes the hole obviously tremendously. But it's everybody wants that kind of energy for Valspar at the back nine, they could, it gets pretty crazy out there as it is, but that's coming up 6 weeks. All right. That'll do it for us here. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page, FanStream Sports Tampa Bay, and of course, FanStream Sports Dallas, the JP Peterson Show, at the JP Peterson Show, our new Twitter, and all that's good stuff on social media. We will be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. We will see you then.